Hey guys, welcome back to Mythology. We're going to be focusing on Unit 4, the roles of animals. And this is just really more of part 1. This is our introductory into Unit 4. So if you haven't got caught up on the reading yet, no worries. This is going to help you guys understand a little bit more some of those folklores, folk tales, myths, and legends that you guys have been reading within Unit 3 and carrying it into Unit 4. So without further ado, we're going to go ahead and get started. So in regards to the roles of animals, I want you guys to think about your favorite Disney movie, okay? Or if not Disney movie, I want you to think about your favorite childhood movie, okay? How many of those movies have had animals play a role in it? Okay, some of you guys are saying a few. Some of you are actually telling me the movie that has an animal in it. Thank you so much. Oh, Sarah, yes, that's a great one. The Fox and the Hound. I completely forgot about that one. Yes, that's a perfect one to recall. Thank you so much for that. Okay, so now that you've thought about your favorite movie that has an animal in it, was the animal the main character or they were kind of like a side character? Were they like the supporting actor or were they the main actor, like the main role? Awesome, Luther. Thank you for that. Jaden, Kylie, Mason. Yes, those. Wow. So a lot of you guys have movies that you can recall from your childhood where the animal was the main character. Yes. And that's interesting because in different cultures, there are certain myths where in the creation stories, like in the beginning, do you guys remember in the creation stories how a lot of the animals seem to be a part of that? Right. So we're carrying over from what we saw in Unit 1 at the beginning of the school year into Unit 4, where the roles of animals are still very prevalent. And what do I mean by prevalent? Right, they're still very important in a lot of ways. Very good. Thank you. So we're going to be focusing on that within this unit for part 1. So what are our expectations? What are we really wanting to learn today? Okay. So we're wanting to explain the varied roles animals play in legends and mythology. We're going to analyze creation stories where animals play an important role. And this is something that you guys are going to be doing on your own for the assignment for 4.02. So what we're going to be looking at today, make sure you recall some of those techniques that we did because you're going to be analyzing creation stories. We're going to evaluate the symbolic nature of animals as portrayed in myths and legends. Okay. We're going to understand that there is this unity around the world with myths. Okay. We're going to see that certain animals represent the same thing in one country versus the other. Completely different cultures, completely different sides of the world, but that animals still represent the same thing. And it still represents that same thing to this day. Crazy, right? And then we're going to identify modern myths and legends involving animals. So basically, guys, just to recap a little bit, 2 and 5 are things that you are going to be doing on your own when you're reading and focusing on those assignments, also in those discussion questions. So make sure you are paying attention to how we're breaking that down, okay? So what I would like for you guys to do is number one, does everybody understand where we're at? And what I mean by understand where we're at is, do you guys feel comfortable by looking at the explaining, the analyzing, the evaluating, the identifying, and the tracing? Are you guys at a good understanding, or do you feel comfortable in regards to those 5 keywords that we're going to be doing today? And if you're not, don't worry, we can break down those a little bit more. But if you're feeling okay, what I'd like for you guys to do is in the chat, personally message me and let me know where you're at. So, 1 being, yeah, Professor Sheffer, I feel confident about this. And 2 being, I might be okay with it, but there's a few things I would like for us to go more in depth with. Or 3 be like, pause, Professor Sheffer. We really need to discuss a little bit more about those 5 words. Okay. So we're looking at explaining, analyzing, evaluating, tracing, and identifying. Where are you guys at? I'm going to give you guys a few minutes. And remember, you're only personally messaging me, so I'm the only one that can see where we are currently feeling. Give you guys a few moments to do that, and we'll move right on. Okay, so majority of you guys are feeling very, very comfortable with what we're doing. Some of you still haven't responded yet, so I'm wondering if that's because we might be a little curious or cautious on one of those words. Which one of those words do you think you guys are a little bit more cautious about? And you don't have to private message me. You can now just go straight into the main room. What seems to be your main concern right now? Okay, and a lot of you guys are saying analyzing creation stories where animals play an important role. And don't worry, guys, because we are going to be jumping into that right now with this clip. Okay, so it's about a 5-minute clip. I would like for you guys to click on that link for me, please. And we're going to focus on two important questions. So when you're done reading, or not reading, I'm sorry, when we're done watching this clip, okay, I want you guys to give me that smiley face. So let me know that you're done and we will move on to focusing on two questions, okay? Thanks, guys. Alrighty, so, whoops, what did you guys think about that clip? What is the role of the animal? What appears to be the role of that? You guys can either do it in the chat or you can do it on the whiteboard, or if you want to personal message me, you are more than welcome to. But what appears to be the role of that animal? Yes, awesome. I'm glad you guys got that. Isn't that amazing? Isn't that amazing, right? Now, how many of you guys, though, are familiar with the stork? The story of the stork. What do we usually see the stork representing now? Yes, thank you. Yes, Shaden, the birth of a baby, right? We do see that. Was that what you were also going to write, Mason? You're good. Okay. So moving forward, guys, we can see that this tale from Pixar, by the way, okay, is still pretty prevalent to what we see now, right? Whenever we think of a stork, we usually think of birth of a baby. And what did this clip explain? Now, granted, let's not look at creation. What did this clip seem to explain? We see a relationship between two characters. Yes, the cloud and the stork, okay? What what seemed to be the explanation that we saw going on? What do you think the message was? It's and it doesn't have to do with birth, right? Absolutely, it doesn't have to do with birth. Overcoming things. Yes, finding ways to overcome challenges. Absolutely. Now, where did we see that? Can you guys give me an example of where we saw that? Wonderful. You guys are doing great. Ah, y'all are going to do so fantastic when it comes to analyzing the creation story. Because, guys, you just did that. What we did right here with that clip, you guys just did that with number two. So when you were concerned about, oh, analyzing Professor Sheffer, that means I have to read something. I understand it means you have to read something. But these two things that you did right here, understanding the role of the animal, and then what did that story represent, what does that story explain, are basically the two things you're focusing on in that assignment. So you guys are halfway there. You just have to make sure you're using that evidence because evidence is important. Remember, if you don't have the evidence to back up what you're saying, it's just your opinion. You have to have the logos to back up your claims. Awesome job, guys. So moving right along, that's doing fantastic. There are some key vocabulary words that we need to be paying attention to in our unit 4, okay? So I filled in some for you already. If 4 volunteers to go ahead and take care of, oh, sorry, actually 5 volunteers to answer the antagonist, Chinese zodiac, personification, shape shifting, and totems, that would be amazing. Once again, remember, this is your connotation, okay? So I'm going to give you guys about 5 minutes to do this. If y'all don't mind volunteering, do I have any volunteers? Give me a hands up or green check or just type your name in to let me know who. Awesome. Thank you guys. Y'all are doing fantastic. So go ahead and fill those in for me and we'll move right on. Thanks, guys. Awesome. And you guys did a phenomenal job of doing that. Thank you. I am going to send this out to you as well as what was added from our previous slide. So thank you for those volunteers typing that in. And yes, as you guys can tell, you were absolutely right when we were looking at the antagonist, when we were looking at the Chinese zodiac, when we were looking at personification. Yes, the shape shifting, all of those, the totems. Thank you guys so much. Y'all did an amazing job by filling those in. Once again, guys, these vocabulary words you will be needing to use for Unit 4. So if you can, save that page, save this page, and we'll jump right into breaking down a little bit more how we saw animals in regards to being almost stand-in for humans. And we noticed that animals had human-like characteristics, okay? They almost adopted human-like traits because it's interesting when we call a snake, someone who is sly. We usually say they're sly as a snake. But how is a snake sly? Why would we say that? Why would we say a snake is sly? The way they slither. Oh, how quickly they move. Awesome. Yes. And we see snakes actually make a lot of popular appearances in movies, in books. Anybody want to name one off the top of their head? A famous book that has snakes in it? That's very important. I know I've got some of those fans in here. Yes, Harry Potter, right? Where we see these animals take on more representation of human-like characteristics. And we see that happening in African and Native American stories, okay? And sometimes we see that these animals are known as the tricksters, okay? They're almost like that comic relief moment in some of these really deep-rooted, even dark tales, right? And we even see that sometimes the main characters or the protagonists in a lot of these myths or legends want to be referred to themselves as having that higher connection to the animal. Like if someone says you're wise as an owl, right? That's like, oh well, because owls are wise. Yeah, they're actually birds of prey, but they're very, very wise, right? And so we see that as a compliment. So whenever a protagonist wants to be identified as having intelligence, we see that in regards to an owl, okay? What other god or goddess can you guys think of that has a connection to an owl? And we've read about this one before. Anybody? Yes, right, Athena, okay? Her representation happens to be an owl, absolutely. So we see that a lot of animals play an important role in how stories are told in regards to symbolism. Remember, we talked about symbolism before, especially in Unit 2 with symbolism, but we continue with how animals are very much an important role in cultural telling. And we're going to actually see that today in Aesop's Fables, okay? So we have two stories right here, the fox and the grapes and the crow in the pitcher. So what we're going to do, and we don't have time to really break it all down today, and that's fine. So what we are going to do today is you guys are going to read the fox and the grapes and the crow in the picture. So you guys are going to notice that you have some rooms that you can hop into real quick, okay? And you're going to see that these are the exact same stories in there. So what I would like for you guys to do, in breakout room 1, you're going to see the fox and the grapes. And breakout room 2, you're going to see the crow in the picture. And you're going to be randomly selected into those rooms. Once you are randomly selected, I want you guys to answer this question for me. What is the theme here? And remember, the theme is known as the main message, right? What is the main message of this particular one, the fox and the grapes? And what happens to be the main message in the crow in the picture? Guys, do not worry, do not fret, because remember when you were looking at this one right here, we were doing the exact same thing. But instead of us really breaking down what the role of the animal is, you're going to be looking more in regards to right here, what seems to be the message of the story and how can you tell? All right, we're going to hop into those breakout rooms. And once we're done answering, guys, it's time for us to move on to those stories in Unit 4. So you guys have all the tools that's needed. So let's hop into those breakout rooms. When we're done, you guys, we can start reading those stories. If you have questions, please let me know. But let's annotate these stories and get on done.